with caution.
What's up everyone, Caution here, and today we've got a different video than usual. We're going to showcase some EdTech, an Ed guide, and anything like that. Now, before we start off this video in general, to all the Jamie fans out there, no, this does not mean that I'm going to stop playing Jamie or anything like that. I think Ed, in my opinion, is really fun, and I think for certain matchups I actually would recommend you know, having a pocket character is never bad, and I feel like Ed is going to be that pocket character for me, because there are definitely matchups where Ed excels in comparison to Jamie, but there's also it also works the other way around. And to give you like the best example out there, I think Ed versus Cammy is really bad for Ed, and I think if you know you're up against a player who plays Cammy, then it's obviously better to go with Jamie pick. But regardless of that, I'm here to help out some Ed fanboys as well. We've got combos, we got setups, we got side switches, mix-ups, whatever you want to call it. We've got them all. This is just my experience, and as usual, I'm just here trying to help people out as much as I can. So let's start off with Ed's normals. So first we have standing jab. I feel like his jabs in general, crouching jab, are not that great in terms of range, especially. So, and sometimes they even whiff. So you can normally get, if you're close to them, you can get like 3 jabs in a row, like that. Or you can go for crouching jab as well, so you can get them low, because it actually hits low, because his crouching light kick is not a low. So his crouching jab is actually hits low, so you have to block low to prevent that from hitting you. But that being said, sometimes in terms of hit confirming, it's just actually better to go for 2 hits, because in some situations the third one will whiff, and there we go, and then you lost your pressure, because you can obviously cancel it into that, for example, or you can go for the OD version, or if you don't want to knock them down, you can also go for the regular version. So you have a +3 advantage. Not intro range. That in mind. So yeah, that being said, not the best, but you know, it's not the worst either, I suppose. It's okay. Moving on to standing light kick. Now this is, in my opinion, a very good button. 6 frame startup though, so it's definitely on the slower side of shorts. Crouching light kick on the other hand is 5 frame startup, but cancelable, and actually has a decent amount of range, so it's not bad at all. It's pretty good. So definitely this is one of those ones, in my opinion, that pretty much went under the radar for me, because it was like, oh, but you have this as well, this leads into a target combo, you're +1 and in your face, so you know this might seem better. Yeah, but it's still 6 frames, and not cancelable. As you can see, I cannot cancel this at all, only to go into target combo. So crouching light kick is cancelable, and pretty good for that as well. Pretty good for just buffer something, and yeah, get a combo started or anything like that, or get your pressure going. That being said though, the target combo obviously has some good usages, because your intro range, your +1, but the one that I prefer actually is not going for the last hit, because the last hit, obviously you're not that close, but it's like the third hit, it makes you very much closer, but in some cases the second hit leaves you at +3, so you actually have that strike throw mix-up afterwards. So you can obviously go for throw, and if people want to walk backwards, then you can just go for a crouching medium punch and go for a combo. So yeah, in my opinion, these 2 buttons are fantastic. Okay, moving on to the medium buttons, we have standing medium punch. Standing medium punch, not that significant, not that great in my opinion. Reason for that is -1 on block, so you don't really have Ed doesn't really have a plus button on block with mediums at all. So that being said, it's not that great. It's good for confirming, because it does have 3 active frames, so you can make this meaty, and it obviously leads into his target combo, or you can go for combos or anything like that. You can do a lot of things afterwards, especially in the corner. That being said, not that great, but you know, it's a pretty good combo starter. Obviously leads into good combos for drivers, for example, stuff like that. So it's not worthless. Let's keep it at that. 7 frame startup, not the best, but not the worst either. Crouching medium punch. Crouching medium punch, pretty good actually in my opinion. 8 frame startup, so you know it's kind of similar to most crouching medium kicks from some certain players. Some have it easier with 7 frame startup. So it's once again, it's not the best, but it's not the worst. Either has a decent amount of range, and obviously hits slow. You can drive rush and do combos. So yeah, pretty straightforward, pretty much. Cancelable as well, obviously. So yeah, you can do a lot of stuff with it, and I think it's a good button. It's definitely not bad. But now we're coming on to the fun parts, and this is like the flickers, in my opinion, for Ed are very interesting. They're slow buttons, but their range is pretty good. And you can the standing medium kick, for example, you can go into target combo, and it will actually give you a strike throw mix up after kill rush. So you're +2. I think you can even get +3, but +4. There we go. So yeah, really good for strike throw mix up, obviously. His standing medium kick, or crouching medium kick actually, I'm always getting confused because the crouching medium kick hits high and the standing medium kick hits low. So it's sometimes very confusing. But crouching medium kick, in my opinion, it was for me also one of those buttons that actually flew a little bit under the radar. Because it's interesting, it has less range than standing medium kick, but it moves it slightly forward, as you can see. Slowly I'm getting into range. But as you can see, the advantage on hit is very interesting. It is 8 frames on hit. So what that means is on a regular hit, you can actually link it into crouching medium punch or 2MP, whatever you want to call it. You also, if it's a counter hit, you can actually link it into 5 HP or standing fierce. So this button is definitely very good. Really like this button. Big fan of it. Definitely trying to implement this as much as I can in my game plan. And yeah, I just love the button. It's really good. It can also go into itself. And it is the only medium punch button in my, I think, if we don't have counter hit on, that can link into OD Psycho Snatcher. You see it actually combos, and you can see that it doesn't work from 2MP, for example. It doesn't work from 5MK. That doesn't combo, but 2MK does. So the reason why that is good, if for example you have a, let's say you have a punish counter on 5 HP, but you didn't confirm it into anything, because obviously Ed is very sensitive to drive impact with some of his strings. On a punish counter 5 HP, you can actually link it into 2MK and do some combos from there on out. So in general, pretty good button is 2MK. Moving forward onto the fierce buttons is, or the strong buttons, whatever you want to call it. 5 HP, we just talked about a little bit before. A great button. You know, similar to Ken's and Ryu's. Lots of active frames as well. 4 active frames to be exact. Range is really good. Cancelable as well. And if charged, leads into Psycho Knuckle. Can be drive impacted though, so be aware of that. But still can be cancelled, by the way. You can cancel it by double dashing. Only forward. Not backward. Some moves you can actually cancel backwards. We will get to that later. But you can cancel this. You can go forward. And yeah, pretty good for combos as well. This is just a good button in general. Really strong. Moving on Crouching Fierce is his sweep, or 2 HP. Is Ed's sweep in this case. It's okay. It's 10 frames. Range is okay. You know, it's just a regular sweep. Nothing much to be said about it. Yeah. Great to have. Moving forward, standing roundhouse or 5HK. 5HK is a very interesting button, and it has. I feel like it's also one of his. I wouldn't say one of his stronger buttons, but at the same time one of his weaker buttons as well. The reason for that is, it's great for starting combos. It's 8, so obviously get 8 frames from this as well. You can go into this, or you can go into the target combo, and it does a decent amount of damage as well, 800. So it's really good. Also, if you do it from drivers, for example, you can get standing fierce. So obviously you can get a very simple damaging combo by just pressing all these heavy buttons. You can also do this, for example. And you can get some decent damage. Excuse me for you know, my voice and everything like that. I'm still very ill. But you know, it's about time I make another video. So, anyways, moving forward, his crouching fierce, or crouching roundhouse, excuse me. So 2 HK, also very interesting. Has a good amount of range, moves him forward a lot. But the advantage is only +2 on block. So you can follow it up with obviously driver, for example. You can also cancel it into his snatcher. But only the light version works though. If you go into the medium version, it does not link. You have to go for the light version instead. Yeah, that being said, it's a good button. Has a good amount of range. It's fairly slow though, 12 frames, but still really good. Just to get that whiff punish momentum going. So yeah, in terms of like medium range, I feel like Ed is very strong. And his normals definitely show for that. Okay, moving on to jumping normals very quickly. Jumping jab, you know, nothing too fancy. Unfortunately, it doesn't hit standing targets. Unfortunately, that would have actually been really good. I wonder if you can actually do a meaty with it, perhaps. Nope, unfortunately, you can't. Okay, so yeah, nothing too fancy about it. It's good, it's fast, but decent amount of range too. But unfortunately, you can't hit grounded targets with it. That one is very interesting though. Jumping light kick. That one is something that you can actually kill people with if you go for after a jumping button. So if you get a save jump, for example, like we just had. Let's say we get the save jump. You can actually... Oh, my bad. Do it like that, for example. There we go. You can actually... If they're on a sliver of health left, then that is actually something very interesting you can do. It's just an instant overhead, pretty much. And the fact you can actually do it while jumping back is really strong. So for Jamie, for example, has to do jumping forward with his light punch to do that, which is a big risk. But jumping back, actually, a very safe option, and you can kill him with them. So I wonder if there's any setups with, let's say his level 2 that, you know, can be invented with it. Not sure yet. Haven't really thought about it, but it's definitely an interesting button. Moving forward. Jumping medium punch is his cross-up option. Doesn't really have a great hitbox in my opinion. As you can see, it whiffs fairly quickly. But yeah, it's his cross-up option, so you know, enough being said. That's what you're going to use if you want to go for cross-ups. Something like that. Oh man. Jumping medium kick. Jumping medium kick is actually very similar, I feel, to like JP's jumping medium punch. Pretty good in terms of range. You can do some very interesting stuff with it. Some stuff like that, you know, nothing special, but a decent amount of range. Fairly good in my opinion. Something like that, you know. Yeah, so definitely pretty good to use in the neutral sometimes to catch people off guard. Definitely something good. Jumping heavy punch is more useful in a combo because it goes like very upwards, as you can see. It's not as similar as jumping medium kick. You can hit people with it, but you have to be very close to the ground. Even not. Never mind, you can't. So yeah, maybe against Zangief and Marisa, there's something specific you can do. But yeah, this is mainly being used for combos with level 2, as far as I know. If I can get it, actually, that would be nice. Something like that. That's something you can do. So it has some juggle properties, pretty much like Jamie's jumping heavy kick. And finally, jumping heavy punch is, you know, pretty much the go-to button. Pretty good in terms of hitbox. Very good button in my opinion as well. Hits very high up too, as you can see. So yeah, it's just this go-to button if you want to jump on people and beat their face in pretty much. So yeah, that's definitely the option to go for. Alright, moving on to specials. Let's talk about his fireball first. So his fireball, once again, just like in Street Fighter V, very strong. The first hit can also absorb fireballs. So Ed actually has a pretty good way of, I think that's fireball, of actually dealing with fireballs himself. He can actually absorb the fireball at the first hit, and then actually still go for a second hit afterwards. So yeah, still pretty strong. OD version as well can be very quick, and yeah, it's just good. It's also pretty good in combos as well, in setups, but we'll get to that later. Medium version, heavy version, all the same in terms of startup frames, all the same frame data to be exact. The only difference is the trajectory of the fireball. So we got a slow one, medium one, and you got your heavy one. Doesn't actually really matter which the first one you use in terms of version. It just depends on the strength of your button on the second hit. Alright, Psycho Blitz is up next. Mostly your combo ender for juggles, or for, you know, getting a safe jump, or during light strings, for example. You use the medium version. For mediums, you can use the heavy version to get the knockdown. And they all have their different strengths. Medium version sometimes is necessary for, you know, sometimes there's not enough time for the heavy version because of the startup. Medium is 13, heavy is 15, light is 11. Light is the only one that does not knock down. It leaves you at +3. Not in throw range, unfortunately. Definitely room to go for crouching light kick or crouching jab. One thing to know is about crouching jab, for example, which I forgot to tell you, is it's not cancelable. And that really is a bummer. That being said, let's move on. Psycho Flicker. I like to call it Snatcher because that's what he said in 5. But Psycho Flicker, one of Ed's main tools, in my opinion. Fully charged. Leads into combos. Leads into good damage. And on block, obviously, is where it shines as well, because you're +4, so it gives you strike throw. It gives you the option to backdash to make them whiff a throw tech and then punish them for it. It's a super strong tool. However, usually people do this from 5 HP. So you can do that like that into that, or that and charge it. or going to OD, even on block, because you're still going to be +4. So, yeah, the problem with that is, imagine if we're trying to do that. We're just trying to harass. So you can see that that is a true string, so you're safe to do that. But not with the medium version. That's very dangerous as well. You're gonna be susceptible to drive impact. Also, the OD version has the same results, so there is a gap between 5 HP and medium and OD flicker. So yeah, what you can do is fake it and backdash. That's why this is good. So that's why I wanted to highlight. You can actually cancel it into forward or into backdash. You can also do kill rush. Kill rush is forward dash, but you can also do backdash kill rush. You can instantly cast that from 5 HP as well. That also works. I'm gonna bait them out. But in my opinion, this is still pretty strong. Only works from similar range. So I can't do this up close and backdash because I'm gonna get hit. But from like medium range to max range, you can punish him for it. And like a good combo. One good thing to note is during a fireball war, the OD snatcher actually goes through. All the fully charged ones as well, they go through fireballs. The one good thing to note as well is that is something you can do. Alright, next up, let's talk about Kill Rush for a sec. Kill Rush is, in my opinion, one of his better special moves as well. Mainly being used to get, you know, closer to your opponent after a combo. The Kill Rush, there you can see, for example, after medium DP, I am +5 after the Kill Rush. Where if I would do double dash, for example, I'm only +1. But in terms of range, very similar. Still in strike throw range. I can get +6. So Kill Rush is mainly being used for that as well. Obviously, like we've seen before, it offers juggles for combos. As you can see, there's actually two versions. There's two versions of Kill Rush. Obviously, you have the forward punch instantly. There you go. Or you can delay it slightly. You can get a different version. As you can see, the damage is the same. 1400 for both. But the trajectory of the opponent is different. This is important for specific combos. So for example, if I would do target combo, I have to go for the fast version because if I don't do that, then I cannot juggle afterwards, as you can see. So I have to get the short version to follow it up with medium punch DP in that case, for example. But on the ground, if I do that, for example, the regular one, I can't follow it up with like a slow one, the fast one. You have to get the latter version, and then you can actually get a follow-up. So this is actually important if you want to get a meterless combo, for example. If you just want to do something meterless, and something like that. Otherwise, because a lot of people are going to do this instantly as well. But if you don't have the bar to spend for that, in terms of if you're low on drive gauge, sometimes you have to find ways to do your combos differently. Imagine if you spend your last 3 bars of drive rush to get a drive rush cancel, and you only have like half a drive bar left, or a bar. Yes, you could go for Psycho Flicker, but if you're going to do that in terms of habit, you're gonna burn yourself out quite a lot. So then it's better to go for a regular one using Kill Rush. Timing is a little bit weird because you have to delay it, but not too much. Otherwise, it doesn't combo. But yeah, that's definitely something you have to learn. A good way of doing that, for example, is if I would go for, let's say, like that. that actually does less damage than if I would go for the kill rush option. Not much of a difference, but sometimes that difference can matter. Alright, next up is his DP. Unfortunately, in my specific opinion, I feel like Ed is not really gifted with his DP. His light punch DP is not that fast, 10 frame startup, and sometimes if people just empty jump and you react a little bit too late, they're going to be able to block in time. That being said, you can use our 3 different versions to anti-air because the ranges all you can use your 3 different strengths of DP for different situations because they all vary in terms of moving forward. The light punch is the best one to react, but if they jump from afar, then you can actually go for medium punch DP or even heavy DP to interrupt them. So in that regard, we have it pretty good. Obviously, it's also being used a lot for combos, especially the light one, the medium one as well, for an ender, and anything like that. So nothing special, just a DP and used for a lot of combos. Right. Last but not least, a couple of unique attacks that we didn't talk about earlier. So we have the forward HP. It's okay actually. It's not too bad. In decent range, obviously. On punish counter, it has 5 frames, so you can actually link it into a jab or crouching light kick or anything like that. Get your combo started. It also can be used for juggles. It has juggle properties, but it doesn't work for every combo, obviously. But for example, it can work after a kill rush, get like a knockdown. In terms of frame data, it doesn't differ that much than if I would have gone for Psycho Blitz, for example. But yeah, in some situations, especially with level 2 combos, it can actually be pretty handy. But we'll come back to that later. Finally, the target combo we missed for crouching roundhouse or 2HK is that one. But you know, in my opinion, I feel like it's better to cancel it or to go to drive rush, but that's just my opinion. I'm sure at some point there might be uses for it in the near future. Alright, moving on to combos, bread and butters, all that beautiful stuff. So, let's start simple. If you get jabs, you go for that. Psycho Blitz. Best thing to do in my opinion is still get the knockdown, and you can follow it up with kill rush to get fairly close to them and be +8. So that's my go-to for lights. You can do this for example too, that works as well. Or in terms of pushback, it's better to go for one standing light punch first, into crouching light punch, into another standing light punch. Then if you do it the other way around, you actually end up further away. So if you're getting used to those strings, like I said, in some cases, one of the jabs can whiff, you're gonna have an issue. Target combo. You actually get to target combo. It's best to go into kill rush in my opinion, because you can go for OD, but you can get a lot of good results, and that's because Psycho Flicker is hitting in the air. So if Psycho Flicker actually catches you in the air, the properties become different and you don't get that good follow-up. So if I hit it grounded, you can see that it hits high up, but if I hit it in the air, you actually pull them down, and then the opportunities you can do afterwards are different. If that does happen to you, you get a, let's say, meterless, you catch them out the air, you can actually do that. Do a light punch. The light punch DP into light punch Psycho Blitz. That works. You can also go for drive rush. to get a little bit more range, a little bit more corner carry. That is something you can do as well. But normally from the target combo, what I like to use, and this is all, you know, just my opinion, if you go for kill rush, you can actually follow it up with medium punch DP. Once again, you can do kill rush and you end up fairly close to them, and it's a good amount of corner carry. Puts you in a good position. In the corner though, with target combo, things become a little bit different. So what you can do here is you can still do the same thing in the kill rush and to be plus 39. That's actually very interesting. We'll come back to that later in setups. But in terms of damage, you can see it's 1920 damage. It's not that much. You can actually, it's better to do like a flicker, the heavy version. A little bit more, 2160. So keep that in mind. That is something you can do. Drive rush canceling from the target combo, I would not advise it, because once again it becomes airborne after the second hit. It's better to drive rush from the first hit. Keep him grounded. But if it would happen, you can do something like this. But yeah, it's more fancy than it does damage, because it costed me like 4 drive bars and I only did like 300 more. So it's more of like a fancy option. You can get a save jump from it as well if you go for the medium punch Psycho Blitz. Then you get 42. And obviously 42 frames is the magic number for save jumps. In terms of crouching medium punch, if you actually get that, two things you can do. Obviously, we've talked about the 5MK or 2MK, excuse me, links into 2MP. And I would advise you to drive rush into 5HK, because that will give you another 5 HP, yada yada yada. Into kill rush, make sure to delay it so you can link heavy punch Psycho Blitz into it. If you don't do that, then obviously the Psycho Blitz is not going to work. And if you delay it too long, it doesn't combo. So you gotta find that magic timing for it to make it work. But that's something you can do. You can also go into the most common one, obviously, is from OD Psycho Flicker. Also into HP Psycho Blitz. The reason for that is gives you the best Oki. The plus 10 and you're right in their face. If you want to go for more corner carry and spend a little bit more drive gauge, you can actually do something like this. That works too. Plus 6, a little bit less frame advantage, but there's a lot more corner carry involved. Instead of going for Psycho Blitz, you can also go for medium punch DP and get a little bit more corner carry. So pretty much half a stage. Not too bad. Psycho Flicker can also be used for a side switch. And you can follow it up. This is very interesting. If you drive rush after OD Psycho Flicker and just input...
What are you waiting for?
What is it? 214? Yeah, 214. You actually get a DP. Crazy enough. Don't ask me how. It's because we side switch with drive rush. But if you just input 214, it's a quarter circle forward, punch, so just fireball motion, you actually get DP, and you can end it into light punch Psycho Blitz. There we go. And 42 frames. So you can get a side switch and a save jump out of it. Alright, combos from Drive Impact. There's a couple of interesting ones. If you actually get a hit, you can hit him with Heavy Punch DP, so the Drive Impact has to hit. So not a block Drive Impact, into a wall splat. Target combo, Heavy Punch DP, Light Punch Psycho Blitz, gives you a save jump. If they block the Drive Impact, you gotta do Medium Punch DP, and you can end it into Medium Punch Psycho Blitz. To also get a save jump. I'm sure there's probably different things you can do, but I haven't figured out a lot of them. As you can see, 5 HK whiffs. So you do 5 HP, but it's a little bit weird. What you can do if you get a punish counter is something like that. You can actually go for a jumping heavy punch, so they get airborne, and then driver get a combo. So that is pretty good once again for corner carry. If you manage to get a stun, then you can actually use your Psycho Knuckle. You want to go for something meterless, for example. That is something you can do without spending any drive bar. If you do want to spend drive bar, that's something you can do. You can also keep it simple and just do 5 HK all the time. Then you have to spend a lot. That's something you can do too, but it does a little bit less damage. The reason why I was able to get another one is after your first driver's cancel, you can actually step forward a little bit and input 5 MP to get a little bit of driver's gauge back, and that allows me to get an extra driver's cancel. So yeah, keep that in mind. That's pretty much what you want to do for max damage. Now, it comes to no surprise that his level 1 super can all be substituted for pretty much any combo ender that we talked about previously. You can get like that, like that. You get level 1. You can get it from Kill Rush. Not that version. So that's all things you can do. Alright, let's talk a little bit about level 2 combos. So there's a couple. I don't use a lot of them, but the ones that I like to use are the following. So every version is different as well in terms of trajectory. Light Punch goes slow. Medium Punch goes a little bit faster, and the heavy version goes the fastest. So let's start off with the light one. If you get OD Psycho Blitz, there's actually two opportunities where you can use level 2. So you can use it on the first hit to keep him grounded. But you can also go for the Light Punch version after the second hit to get them airborne. And you can see that the first hit of the level 2 between this first and the second hit is actually a small gap where you can actually juggle them quite a bit. A very simple one and straightforward, has a decent amount of quarter carry, is this one. So it does a decent amount of damage, as you saw. Obviously, it's from raw Psycho Blitz, but decent amount of damage. Corner carry, and we are 13 frames of Oki in their face because of Kill Rush. So, good situation. If you want to get, let's say you don't have the drive gauge to actually do OD Psycho Blitz, and you want to keep it simple. So same situation, you use the medium punch version here. Kill Rush, jump forward, heavy kick. Kill Rush again, the fast version into DP or Psycho Blitz works as well, obviously. Obviously, a little bit of advice, if you can go for Psycho Blitz, the heavy version, I would advise you to do so. Usually you end up with a little bit less of frame advantage, but you always end up in their face, regardless of normal recovery or back recovery. So if you have the opportunity to go for Psycho Blitz, always end with Psycho Blitz. One last one that I can show you with the heavy version. There it is, and you can get 42 frames of advantage. So once again, it leads into a save jump. Now, the best one to use if you have a lot of drive gauge to spend, the best corner carry, it's a complicated one, it's not easy to do, but I'll showcase it for people that want to learn it. It actually goes from screen to screen, but it's very tricky in terms of the timing of Psycho Knuckle. You don't get the timing of Psycho Knuckle right, you could go underneath. If you go too late, for example, you won't be able to do the Kill Rush follow-up, and sometimes not even the DP follow-up. So sometimes to play it safe, if I see like, okay, my timing is off, I'm not going to go for the medium punch DP version there. But in terms of how to execute it, so you actually go for Psycho Blitz, OD Psycho Blitz, you cancel it into the light punch version on the last hit. After that, you go for Drive Rush 5 HK into cancel light punch fireball. And then you time the Psycho Blitz to juggle, and then they will land onto the fireball. Drive Rush, fireball. And there you follow it up. So there my Kill Rush is actually even too late. But that was actually the perfect example. You want to try and be as close as possible to them when they land onto the fireball to get the complete follow-up. But yeah, this is in my opinion a very flashy corner carry. It was come up by someone very I think like day one on Twitter. And yeah, it's really good. I like it. Obviously, there's a lot more setups you can do. If you want to remove drive gauge, for example, it's one that I saw as well. If you get a punish counter, let's say they drive impacted you, you drive impact back. And that's something you can do. You can actually get rid of, maybe if you use the light punch version, I don't think it makes any difference, but you can take a pretty significant drive gauge away. If you're on full drive gauge. You almost take more, you take 3.5 bars of drive gauge, which is pretty significant. So if you want to get rid of their drive gauge at some point, then that is definitely a really good way to do that. Alright, moving on to setups. Now, obviously I showed you guys a couple of setups already with Kill Rush. Basically, any knockdown into Kill Rush is going to give you a good situation. there's a couple of interesting ones that you can do. For example, if you get your opponent in the corner and you end with, let's say you get, the important part is you have to get 39 frames of advantage. So that is basically your medium punch DP. So in this situation, you get 39 frames. Like this, you get 39 frames. And like this as well. So 39 frames in general. What you can do is with 5 LP and go into Fireball. As you can see, that is going to hit them meaty. If they decide to go for ODDP, then that's a different issue. Because that can still be punished. So yeah, great setup. You can go for pretty much anything afterwards. You can go into 5 HK is what I like to do. But be wary of the fact if they're crouching or not. If they are crouching, you can just go for jabs instead. You can go for that's the thing, because you cannot go for medium punch pressure because you have you know, your -1 on block. So that's the problem about it. But regardless, good setup, and yeah, just covers a ton of options. If they do get hit by it, there's a couple of things you can do. You can repeat it. You can also go into, if you are pretty sure it's going to hit, you can go straight into 5 HP. That you can do as well. The reason why I like to go for 5 HK is if they decide to block, then you are +3 on block still after this. And then you can go, for example, to 5 MP. It's -1, that's true, but the reason for that is, in terms of pushback, you can actually, you're pretty far. So you're gonna lose if it's 5 MK, for example, but you can go into 5 LK here to prevent that from happening. There's a lot of stuff you can do. You can also go, for example, into 2 MK, and then if that's a counter hit, and you can start over. Lots of possibilities there. So the fact that you're +6 in the corner and they have to guess if you're going to go for 5 HK and more pressure or straight into throw after the fireball as well, it's also an option you can do, obviously. So that's something you can do. Speaking about setups with throw, there's a couple of options you can do. You can go for kill rush and be +3, and then you can go for another throw or jab into throw, or you just go for that, something like that. I'm just, you know, just trying some stuff here. There's lots of options you can do with forward throw, so you sort of have a throw loop as well. What you also can do is go for light kick, psycho, what was it, snatcher? Oh yeah, Psycho Flicker. Oh my god. The names. Why do I have so much trouble with the names? So yeah, the light kick version is actually really interesting, because imagine if they wake up, so if they see you go for drive impact, if they see you go for Psycho Flicker, for example, after the throw, you can actually still react. So that means you can, they cannot wake up with drive impact. So that's a really good mix-up, because that means they have to deal with that as well. They cannot drive impact, and they are forced to take that mix-up afterwards. Because it is enough for you to get the maximum charge. And if they get hit, obviously, then that happens. But if they decide to block, then they have to deal with that +4 situation afterwards. And they are straight in your face. So this is such an incredible mix-up. So use the different tools. Go for kill rush. Go for another throw. Go for throw straight away. Go for that. Go for backdash into that. Keep mixing them up. This is the strength of Ed. Ed relies on that psycho flicker with the feints, you know, the +4 in the corner, on block, anything like that. That is where his strength relies. Okay, now in terms of Blockstrings, so like I said, Ed doesn't really have a lot of good tools to go for Blockstrings because there's a lot of negative buttons. What he does have is one that I showed you earlier. If they decide to go for, let's say they're going for a crouching jab after our triple legs, you can actually go for 2 MK to get a cool combo. That's something you can do. You can also, and that's what I wanna like as well, and I haven't seen a lot of people use this. So obviously, like I said, 5 MP can hit meaty, and it allows you to get another medium punch in return.
What are you waiting
for? So for example, let's say we get, keep it simple, I think I can there we go. So it's 3 hits because it hit meaty. So, but obviously it's a little bit dangerous because it's -1 on block. And that means they can challenge with anything and they will always win after that situation. So that's why 5 MP is not great in terms of block strings, and that's why Ed in general doesn't really have good block strings. What you can do is you can actually go for the target combo and cancel that into the fireball. And the reason why that is so good is if people decide to challenge, let's say they challenge with crouching light punch or crouching medium kick. You can actually get the counter hit because they jab into the fireball. And that will give you a combo. It depends how much it's delayed. Usually you can get +8. But if they go for crouching medium kick, as you saw there, it's actually more. And you can actually get a 5 HP off of that. So that is something that I haven't seen a lot of people use, especially in the neutral game. If let's say they block your drive rush attempt, because in that situation we would be plus, and you press the button. Okay, that's great. So that's something you can hit confirm as well. We would go for a light punch here. Then it trades. So if that happens, you can still get a combo. You can still get a combo. I don't think you can get. That's 9 frames. That's not gonna work. +8 advantage. Yeah. So you can only get crouching medium punch after that. But if they decide to block, comes the fun part. We need a little bit more. So you can see that the fireball once again in this situation, right in their face. So if they decide to actually challenge, then once again you can get that advantage on hit from the fireball. +8 yet again. And this is why I think like the target combo can, because the target combo isn't great, but it does give you a lot of pushback. And to keep that fireball in their face is really good. Now, even better is the following. It keeps you safe from drive impact as well. So that is definitely, I really like this, and it's a good tool to mix it up. So you can also do that. See, it's gonna be the same situation. So obviously drive impact, you're safe, and if they decide to challenge with a button, and obviously you're gonna punish counter them. The problem here is though, when this situation occurs, you are +7. And because of the range, you're not going to be able to get anything. Because you need +8 frames at least for the crouching medium punch. 7 frames is that. So you're pretty much can't do anything. But that's okay, because in terms of conditioning, this is really good. Then you're letting them know like, okay, I cannot press a button after his triple lights. And if that's the case, and then we can actually experiment further, and then we can do stuff like that. Then we can actually go for strings. And do like, there we go. And that's what we want. So keep doing that mix-up. If you get the advantage on knockdown, go for like a tick throw maybe. Go for that, or do into that, you know. The fact that they are afraid to press anything after the 3 strings, the 3 lights, that's where it shines. Because yes, everyone can mash out of your strings because everything we do is almost negative. But the fact that fireball will make them whiff punish or hit into the fireball, that's where our strength lies in terms of mix-ups. You can also, if you want to keep up the mix-up, you can also go for the fireball. Obviously you're going to be vulnerable for driving, but you can react to it. Because you can delay launching the fireball. You can do it very fast, but you can also delay it slightly. And that, maybe in this regard, they will be like, oh shit, he's gonna do the fireball, and then psych, you're going for a low into drive rush, and then you can see from there if it hit or not. So I feel like this fireball in the neutral, and in block strings exactly, excuse me, is really, really strong.
What are you waiting for?
Last but not least is Ed's game plan. And we've talked about it a little bit. I feel like his mid-range is where he excels at. Obviously with the pokes, the target combos, the flickers, this one as well, see how far that hits. That's where he excels. Just with punishing and making you guess between the string. Like for example, medium punch flicker goes really far. And if you manage to get a punish counter from Psycho Flicker, then you can do something like that. So it's really strong to actually get combos. And you're in range. And you're in range to do whatever you want to do. So even that is super good. Same story with that one. Super, super good. So yeah, that's where our strength lies, is making them guess. Also, going for these during strings as well is also an option you can do. Let's say we do that, that, and he's gonna charge one, and they have to guess yet again. Now, and here comes the fun part. It's like I said earlier, we are vulnerable to drive impact. But that also means you can play around with that as well. Let's do it on the 5th. Let's do that, and go for backdash to fake it out, to expect it. And you're good to go. And this is where that is the game plan of Ed. You have to keep mixing them up with psycho flickers, the fake outs. If you see them go for parry, for example, they go for drive parry. Let's do it on 5 as well. Actually go for that. People will actually hold it longer, obviously, because they're expecting you know, flicker or anything like that. So you can actually go for forward rush, kill rush, and go for throw instead. That's where the mix-up really lies. Once again, HK flicker goes upwards. So what you actually can do as well, very interesting. If you end with level 3 in the corner, jump block. This. You can actually go for medium punch, hold the flicker, and you're in range. Now if they decide to wake up with drive impact, for example, same situation. I think even we can do this safely. Yeah, we can. So yeah, great situation. Also, if they decide to, and this is where this is really fun in my opinion, I usually like to go for the heavy variant in this situation. Because if they decide to jump, you can get them yet again. And if they decide to drive rush or something like that, if they decide to drive rush, for example, at you as well, using the medium punch version, they're gonna get caught as well. So like the mix-up potential there is great. So if you go for heavy punch and they jump, that's great. If they don't, just go for backdash and you're safe. Lots of stuff you can do with that one. So yeah, that's pretty much the game plan that I would recommend. Is you play Ed is very neutral heavy based, looking for those whiff punishes, looking for the awareness of getting a punish counter with Psycho Flicker and actually capitalizing on that as well. Also very important. That's why I would recommend actually going for raw drive rush into standing medium kick, because it hits low. It will give you the most time to actually hit him, because you can see that for example whiffs. That can work, but you're very close, or if you're very far, you can see that 5MK is really reliable. There you go. From max range though, unfortunately, and it's gonna whiff sometimes, but in my opinion is still the best thing you can do. But you can see that from some cases, your stuff is going to whiff. So yeah, that's something you can do as well to keep it simple. Lots of stuff you can do. Just figure it out for yourself what works best. Just trying to showcase what is actually worth of doing. Alright, now I don't think I've missed anything specific. If you do have some questions, please let me know so I can do some follow-up videos. Obviously, I expect some more Ed gameplay in the future. I think he's really fun. And so far, I want to see how far I can get with Ed. Right now, I'm close to getting the same MR as I was with Jamie with Ed, which is good. And in general, I do feel that Ed is a strong character, but he also lacks a lot of stuff. His psycho upper, for example, 13 frame startup.
What are you waiting for?
So his reversal can actually be baited with a meaty jab. So on defense in his face, Ed is going to struggle. and he is kind of, not entirely, but he's in that similar level, whereas a Marissa or, you know, someone with no EX reversal is going to be. He does have an EX reversal, but because the startup is so big, it can be easily baited as well. So that's why I feel like rushdown characters like Cammy, for example, is a matchup where Ed definitely struggles. The fact that he has a 4-frame jab that doesn't really go far, and the crouching jab is not even cancelable, then he has to rely on, for example, 5LK or 2LK, and those are 5 and 6 frames respectively. So that's why in these situations Ed can definitely struggle. But overall, I think he's like a solid, you know, B, close to A minus tier, I think, in my opinion. A lot of potential for sure, and I can't wait to see what other people come up with in the future with this character. But hey, hope you appreciate this entire guide. I hope it made sense for you all, and I hope this is going to help you on improving your Ed gameplay. My name is Caution. Thanks a ton for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate all of you guys, the support, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.